I get it. It's tempting. I talk to a lot of lawyers on a regular basis about how best to use LinkedIn and how to build their profile and their presence. And now and again, I will get a question about whether or not they should use some of the automation services that are being promoted out there. I have very strong feelings about them. So let's discuss. Well, welcome to Legal Marketing Minutes, where I share short bursts of current marketing news and advice. I'm your host, Nancy Myrland. If we haven't met, I'm a marketing, content, social, and digital media speaker, trainer, and advisor for lawyers and legal marketers. Your time is valuable, so let's get started, okay? Well, this question about whether or not you should automate your connection and your conversation in LinkedIn, primarily in the direct messages or the DMs, is an important discussion to have because as lawyers or just as professionals generally, this very much has to do with being consistent with your brand. Your brand is that you follow the law. Your brand is that you help others follow the law, that you are proactive. You help them be proactive in not getting in trouble or solving problems or taking the right steps. And over the years, that is what I've been trying to help communicate to lawyers and law firms. So I have to communicate this message to you because I'm hearing it come up too often. Plus, I am getting way too many automated messages in my direct messages on LinkedIn, not from lawyers. So it's none of you. Don't worry about that. But the first thing you need to know is this is against LinkedIn's terms of service. And I doubt any of these services, which I will call bots, they use bots to look for keywords. I doubt they'll ever hear this podcast. So I doubt I'll get into much trouble with them or that they'll even discover me because they're not looking for me necessarily. But I want you to know that I don't think you should ever use these services. And there are two reasons why. First is that I mentioned already, it's against LinkedIn's terms of service. If you go to linkedin.com, and I'll put this link in with the notes and the blog post on my blog, which is at myrlandmarketing.com. I will put this link in there, but it's at linkedin.com/legal/user-agreement #DOS. Don't worry about even remembering all that unless you just now stopped it and rewound it to find it. And good for you if you did, but I'll put it on my blog post. But it is against LinkedIn's terms of service, and you would find that under 8.2M. And I don't want you to do it because if LinkedIn discovers that you're using bots, they are so vehemently against people and businesses using bots that they could, I'm not saying they do in every case, but they could actually discontinue your account, suspend your account. And it's not easy to get accounts back. Sometimes they're closed for good and you can't get them back. Sometimes people slide by under the radar and they're never caught. I don't think that's your brand. I don't think that's how you want to operate, hoping that you will slide by and never be caught. I don't think that's consistent with the brand of a lawyer who cares about following terms of service and who cares about following the law. And then the second reason is I get a fair number of these, again, not from lawyers, but on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. I probably get, I'd say maybe 10 or so. And I can tell almost every time that they are not coming from someone who genuinely looked at my profile and wants to connect. And how do I know that? Well, there are telltale signs. Because I work with lawyers, you will find the word lawyer on my profile in several places. These bots that people are using will then scrape profiles across LinkedIn, look for certain keywords. In my case, when the way I was found, I'm sure lawyer was one of the words. And then the other day I got a message, it was last week, I got a message saying, I just took a look at your profile and I see that you're a lawyer and I'd like to connect with more lawyers here. And I did. Oftentimes I don't engage in conversation. I just delete the request to connect, and because they've lost my respect right off the bat when it's that obvious, because it is that obvious that I'm not a lawyer because I never say anywhere in my profile that I am. And last week I engaged in a conversation. I thought it was pretty civil and just said, thanks, but I'm not a lawyer. And then I said, are you using one of the automated bot services? And he was adamant that he did not, that LinkedIn Navigator allowed him to do that. Well, I don't think so. So I said, I just have a strong concern about these services because I think they can cheapen one's brand and they go against LinkedIn's terms of service. And he ended up saying to me, well, it's just that I'm trying to save time because I have a family and, children at home to educate. So I'm just trying to streamline what I do here. And so my last words to him was, I get it. I understand. I would just be very cautious because I don't think it's a very good practice. And again, I wasn't confrontational. I wasn't mean to him in my language, but there are people who are much more blatant about it. And I could be, but sometimes I say, you know what? It's not always my job to save the whole world. But when I do hear lawyers talk about it, then I have to recommend to lawyers, strongly recommend that you do not use these services because, again, it'll make you look bad because something that bot is doing is going to be inaccurate and it's going to make you look bad. It's taking shortcuts to establishing relationships. I mean, do you send somebody to a business after hours or another function for you? No, you don't, because you're the one out there establishing relationships, and only you can engage in meaningful conversation with someone, and only you know if that is a person with whom you really should be connecting. And then ultimately, again, it's against LinkedIn's terms of service. And I know all of you want to do better than that and can do better than that. And it is part of the profession that you would actually adhere to legal terms and terms of service. So please stay away from these bots. I'm not even going to mention their names because I don't want anybody to go look at them because I disagree with them and their use so much. All right, well, that's it for today's Legal Marketing Minutes. Please do me a favor and let me know your thoughts about this topic. If you're on a platform where you can leave a comment, please do, and let me know if you have been approached by these bot automated services or if you have tried them in the past and what your experience has been. I would love to hear from you and what your experience was. And if you're not on a place where you can leave a comment, then you can always find me on my blog at myrlandmarketing.com, and that's MYRLAND marketing.com. Also, if you're connected to the legal profession, I invite you to join my Facebook group, and that is Social Media for Lawyers and Legal Marketers with Nancy Myrland. When you do join, let me know that this is how you found out about the group through my podcast. Well, thank you so much for spending a few legal marketing minutes with me. I know your time is valuable, so I appreciate you spending a few of them right here with me. Until next time, I'm Nancy Myrland. Take care.